I don't. I fail to. I fail to understand how we start with two. With the two players who we think should do that. I've been told that Quadro Bar has been training on his own for the last couple of days, not training with the team. How that prepares him to come on, I don't know. I don't know. Where am I going with this? I don't want to be part of a football club who constantly look at the manager and go, well, we need to get rid of him, because frankly, the Pozzo family do enough, or Gino Pozzo, let's call it for what it is. Gino Pozzo goes through managers like like they're going out of fashion. Let's be honest. But I'll be honest with you, I would like to know from anybody tonight who can tell me one thing that they have been impressed by what they have seen of Paolo Pezzolano thus far. He's got a track record. He's had 3 promotions. He's had a cup win in Brazil, and various things in Mexico. I get that. But in charge of our Watford, has anybody seen anything yet that makes me that is suggesting to me that there should be that this guy should be getting longer than is the norm for a Gino Pozzo model? Because I just don't see it. I get the fact that the second half was an improvement. Frankly, it would be almost impossible not to be an improvement on that first half. It was so dire. It was so poor. People will say, look, it was one free kick and it was in there. And, I think we can have a discussion about Selvik, because let's face it, if Backman had done that, I think he'd be getting pelters. But, we can say it was close and it was there and it was all. I'm talking more about the 7 competitive games we've seen. What do people think? You let me know. Because I'll be honest with you, I am currently struggling to warm to this man, anything I read from him. I'm struggling to warm to what I see from the football, despite the fact that the team started to try to go through the motions, and, we could have maybe snatched something at the end, and wouldn't have that been great? But did we deserve it? I wouldn't have said so. We played with the 2 Mendy's, which was an interesting thing. I mean, it was an interesting start to the whole proceedings in terms of the formation that he seemed to pick. So for anybody who didn't see it, Formose Mendy, who is primarily, to my understanding, a centre back, was playing as a right wing back, and I thought he did okay. I wasn't kind of pulling my hair out about him doing that. We had a back 3 of Elaine. Kevin played at the back, and to the left of him was Pollock. Bolla had a frustrating game for me watching him, I would say. And the midfield 3 were Loser, who seemed to play deeper, but he's got that free role. Cipriano, who gets about, and also the other Mendy, Nampalys Mendy. And then we had a front 2 of Vivaldo Semedo, who nobody has been impressed with thus far in terms of seeing anything. And, obviously the irrepressible Iran Kunda. So we were clearly trying to keep it tight, but that went off for a ball of chalk the moment we ended up basically conceding a free kick and trying to play our way back in. But I don't know. There just didn't seem to be very much for me. I don't know. That's enough of me, because I'm just spitballing here. As ever, this is really for us to hear from you guys as to what you think. But I thought, sod it, I'll vent a little bit first of all, because I'm in sort of venting kind of mood. So what we're going to do is let's go to Rich first of all. We will come to you all in turn, guys. But we'll go to Rich. It's almost like a familiar, warm start to the evening, which on a night like this is no small thing. Rich, you've heard me vent. I'm unimpressed. I've not seen anything to be impressed by the manager at this moment in time. Am I wrong?
Well, of course you're not wrong. You're getting to the stage where, I'm sitting there watching it tonight and I really didn't care. And I suppose I must care because I'm coming on this type of thing to vent a little bit, I suppose. But I'm looking there and honestly, Pete, the worst thing that could have happened was Watford scoring in the last 5 or 10 minutes, because it would have just papered over the cracks. We've gone to the last 2 games in particular. I mean, the rest haven't been spectacular, but the last 2 games, every Watford fan that's looked at 75 minutes, whatever it is, before kickoff, when the team sheets come out now, and literally are scratching their heads thinking, what on earth is going on? And everything that we feared when we saw the team sheet unfolds in front of our eyes. We have a manager that looks literally just clueless. He looks like a rabbit in headlights. But let's not kid ourselves. You
Yep.
know, this is Pozzo, this is Barami pretty much picking the team. And I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says. That's exactly what is happening in this football club.
Okay.
He is just the Pozzolino is just the puppet doing his job. There is no way on earth that he can last much longer. This is a team that we're told was a promotion team. We've been gaslit again by Scott Duxbury and, of course, the ever Mr. Pozzo. And it's a mess. Now, trying to pick some positives out of it.
Yeah.
In the main, in that dressing room, at that training ground, there is some talented players. If only we had talented people in our director's box that knew a little bit about how football is played and how it's properly coached and that, we may have well had a chance. But we were told by Mr. Nani, we've got this pressing animal of a manager coming in. We're going to be exciting. We're going to be down the throats of every defender of opposing
We're
teams.
going to press. We're going to press everybody.
Yeah, we're going to do everything. We're going to shoot on sight. We're going to, my goodness me, if you saw the acres and acres of space that the Millwall defenders had tonight, and let me just remind again, people that may or may not know, most Watford fans will know this, but Millwall, I think, have got 13 to 14 of their first team squad out injured. They're literally scratching a team together today. Their main top centre forward didn't turn up tonight either, and he's actually been playing. They are literally bare bones, but they've got a proper manager that knew how to win the game. As horrible as it probably was to watch for him, he knew how to win the game. Now Watford, bar Irakunda, who bless him keeps going and is the only real bright spark. We look a mess. Now, you said about foremost Mendy. Now, unless I'm very mistaken, the Watford fans were really getting on his back because he just didn't go. And I feel sorry for him because he is a centre back. He is not a right back. And it was probably one of the worst debuts I've seen of a Watford player in many, many years. Not because he did massively anything wrong. It's just because every time he got the ball, he was like a statue and had to turn and go back because he just had no ambition to go forward. And the Watford fans were going bonkers. And the away fans tell you everything that you need to know about a football club. They're your bread and butter. They're the people that are putting their hands in their pockets. They're going on cold. There's a good following at Millwall tonight. I know it's not a million miles away, but it's a Monday night. It's a school night, as the saying goes. It's live on television with most people can see it, and there's a good following there. And when you hear the booing that happened at half time, and of course it's from Watford fans because Millwall had nothing particularly to boo about, so it was obviously Watford fans, it tells you everything that you need to know. The club is a circus. It's an absolute mess. I've heard that Pezzolino and Barr have already had their rucks. They don't get on at all. And when you've got people like Barr sitting on the bench for whatever it was, 70, 75 minutes a game, it's absolutely laughable. So it's suddenly Semedo, who can't get minutes as a substitute, is suddenly the number one starter tonight as centre forward. Going back to foremost Mendy, we're told by the club via the Watford Observer that foremost Mendy was the number one centre half target for the club all transfer window, and he hasn't played centre back once yet. And he's only played one game today, and he was a mess. Now I'm going to give him a pass because he didn't play in his position tonight. But honestly, it is an absolute shambles, and there's only one way direction that the club's going, and it's not promotion is laughable. Now it's up to Watford fans. We've been here before. We got a home game on Saturday. God help him if he puts in a performance like that Saturday. If he survives the night, nothing would surprise me come tomorrow if he wasn't there. And I'm sick to death of listening to myself talk about managers. I don't want another manager getting sacked. It's just boring. And cleverly had to go. He fell apart. He fell out with people at the club. It all come out one day. And in his second half of the season was atrocious. But this time last season, he had it going and they never backed him at all. Now, he had to go at the end, not because we necessarily wanted that to happen, but there was no way he was surviving there because Pozzo didn't want him. And this is all about Gino Pozzo. It comes back to the same person, the same clown that is running our football club, and he's running it into the ground, and he can't even see it. He's such a megalomaniac, and it is just disgraceful. And we're going to turn up Saturday, most of us, I expect, and we're going to meet a whole City team that have just walloped Southampton, full of confidence. You know, it could get very, very interesting Saturday. And it breaks my heart, and it makes me sick that all I want to see is a recognised manager that knows what he's doing, can put round pegs in round holes, can so go out there and excite me, shoot on sight. If we lose a bloody game having a go, so what? I don't care. We're not going to get promoted. We're not going to go in the Premiership. Those days have gone. All I want to see is my football team turn up on a Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, Tuesday night, Monday night, whatever it may be, and have a bloody go, and I can go to bed and think, I've been entertained tonight. Tonight, I'm not being entertained at all. I've sat there, and in the last 15 to 20 minutes, almost, and it breaks my heart to say it, praying that we didn't equalise, because it would just scrape over the paper, basically, you know, and it just makes it so frustrating. We deserved nothing out of that game tonight. It was a pathetic game. I agree with you about the goalkeeper. I thought it was terrible goal to give away. He was nowhere. That's his wall, and he was a mess with that. And there wasn't many good performances out there tonight that you could think and say there's a player that gave his heart for us tonight. The young Eric kept going. But no, it breaks my heart, Pete, and I'm sorry to be. Well, I'm trying not to be negative, but it's obviously negative. What's positive to talk about? You've got to be in the megalomaniac mode to be actually positive about anything you've seen tonight. It's got to change, but the only time it'll ever change is when we get a new owner and we get rid of this clown running our football club and his puppet Duxbury that's sitting next to him, and all the people that hang us on, the Afflecks of this world, the people that are all there, that are all these trying to pump out this positive vibe, and we bought all these players. We've not got a centre forward that's worth his name as a centre forward. I mean, it's embarrassing. You know, we've got 3 strikers, and none of them, you know, one of them can't even get in the squad tonight. I mean, it's just ludicrous, you know, and it's a shame. And I don't know what the answer is. Well, I do know what the answer is, but it ain't going to happen very soon, is it?
Sir, thank you very much indeed. You are absolutely right. It is the question is always about the higher ups at the club, because some people will say we're world class at firing managers. I think we're bloody awful at hiring the right ones for the right reasons so many times. But the questions have to go on there, because if you've got an owner who has said, and you've been there and I've heard there and said, you know, that if there is a change that is required, I will not hesitate to do it for the benefit of the club. Now, we know that, you know, what that leads to is a trigger happy releasing of managers. You and I think almost everybody on here wants to have a manager who is supported and who's gone. I'm just having a real trouble by having looked at this transfer window, and I appreciate you, and you know, we've talked about the need for an experienced centre forward before, you know, in terms of that, and that's where it sort of it fell down most certainly. But I think we cleared away a lot of the dead wood. But what it's left us with is a very young and very inexperienced squad. Now, bearing in mind the owner's rationale for removing Tom Cleverley was the fact that he wasn't an experienced manager. That was in his statement at the end, which was kind of odd, because of course he was 18 months more experienced than he was when we hired him. But never mind. You know, fair enough. You've made the decision to go. But we look like a young team that are basically, we look like young lions led by a lamb at the moment. We've got somebody who doesn't know quite, you know, and people have been asking, does he know what his best 11 is? Does he know what his best formation is? And I just don't see it at this moment in time. And I hope that I will be, around and be able to see that he changes that, whatever it is, and is kind of make some kind of positive interaction. And what we get here is Jokanovic 2, who, if we remember, started off hysterically badly, and then everything we got promoted, and then we got a shot of him. That'd be different, wouldn't it? Thank you, John Parslow, for being positive. I like that very much. So fantastic stuff, Rich. Thank you very much indeed, sir. As always, getting us going, Rich WFC. Let's get to is it Kaden there? Kaden, are you want to coming off the off your microphone there? Mike.
Good evening, Peter.
Good evening. Well, Come on then. You've heard me and Rich babble on. Let's hear somebody else babble on. Babble away. What do you think of this evening?
I just have no words, Pete. Honestly,
You've rung into the wrong place then, because that's exactly what we need.
Paolo is like a rabbit in the headlights. Like, honestly, poor tactics once again. You start, and I don't know why he's done this. Why are you starting a centre back at right back in his debut at the Den? Stupid. What a stupid man. 1 win in 7. No, not good enough. Every week a shambles. His tactics may work in Spain, but certainly not in the Championship. It's a completely different league. I said a couple of weeks ago, give him more time. No. He deserves no more time. Paolo has to go.
Well,
but it's not only Paolo that has to go.
Oh, more.
Gino has to go.
Oh, right. Okay.
Gino has to go. Duxbury has to go. Nani has to go. Paolo has to be sacked. And we have to then go and appoint either Sean Dyche or Danny Roll. Those are the only two feasibles that you think, they might be able to do something. Because the rest of them are clueless. But we all know what Gino Pozzo's going to do. He'll pull the trigger, go to the Spanish division and say, what one can I pay? What one's willing? You're not looking at a quality manager. You're looking at whatever manager you don't have to pay compensation for.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Which is ridiculous.
There you go. What would people think? You said Sean Dyche, Danny Roll. Danny Roll obviously did a fine job at Sheffield Wednesday under incredibly challenging circumstances. The words "out of the fire into the frying pan" fly to mind. John Parslow has said, Peter, can you ask everyone who calls in what time they're expecting the corner flag tonight? Winner gets a prize. Maybe the winner gets to coach the team versus Hull. Who knows? Yeah, well, look, I absolutely loathe going, give the manager some time. But I just want to hear one thing that the manager has done that anybody has gone, yeah, there's something there. I just want to make sure that I'm not, if I'm being the emperor's new clothes here and it's not Pesla, let me know, because I can't see. I really can't see things improvement. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Kaden. Let's get to now, Paul. I tried to get you on a little bit earlier and it didn't let me. We're going to try and get Holly 68 on. There you go, Paul. Can you speak to us? Is it working now?
Yeah, it is working. Hi, Pete. Hi, everybody.
It's a triumph of technology, everybody. We're very thrilled. Unfortunately, it wasn't a triumph at the Den. Go on, mate. No. What are your thoughts on everything?
Well, obviously, I think everyone's sentiment is going to be the same. It just makes me very sad. And, I kind of detached myself over the past few seasons, but I actually had a bit more optimism this season.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 games, it's just suddenly been pulled out of me. I think, like Rich, it makes you feel a bit sick to the pit of your stomach. And, when Pozzo first took over and Zola was manager,
yep.
And I know this for a fact, so Zola would pick a team and the formation. It would then get shared with Gianluca Nani, Scott Duxbury, and Gino Pozzo.
Yep.
And they would pull it apart. And it had to then be a full agreement as to what then happened. So Zola was not in full control of the selection or the setup. And that is the fact. And I know that for a fact, right?
And isn't that the, especially, we'll call it continental, but isn't that especially the Italian way where, they've had technical departments and should we just say interference from what the classic British model would be for ages. Yeah. It's why he's gone to, in Zola's case, let's face it, the man's name's Pozzo. Zola, Pezzolano, he likes a Z if in your name, and most of those have some kind of Latin element to it. Is it just not the fact that we run on an Italian basis, or does the interference go beyond that?
I think it's probably quite extreme. But like anything, the interference probably gets less when you get positive results, and it gets more intense when you don't. But what was interesting, I knew for a fact that this was happening, and this came from one of the people that would be part of that fourfold committee. And then I met Zola a few times. I met him on a pre-season tour. We played Blackpool away at a game that Tom Ince came on and scored. We lost 1-0.
And as Tom Ince would always do against us, yes.
And the night before, I stayed at Heron's Reach, and Zola happened to be in the bedroom next door to me and my wife, and I was chatting to him, and I remember he'd picked the team, and then it got changed because it wasn't the same team that he kind of shared with me in confidence. So I know how that system works, but I think for now, with certain managers, and my gut says at the moment that probably this guy is not even selecting the team. He's being told this is who you're going to play, and then he's got to kind of produce some kind of magic with it. Now, it's unfortunate if we've got Angakia and now Patrice, or whatever his name is, Petrus, injured. But, you've got to kind of work a system and coaching and motivation to get the best out of what you got. And the sum of the parts are not equaling the whole. And, as Rich said, you've looked at the last two team sheets and you're puzzled, absolutely puzzled. Now, all three of our strikers are what I call a project, right? Semedo should be out on loan in League One, learning his trade, probably Dumbia as well, and maybe even K9. But I would have persisted with K9 because I'd started to see shoots of improvement with him, winning the ball in the air, holding it up. I still don't think he's going to score 15 goals, but there was definitely shoots of improvement there.
He was on for 12 minutes tonight, and bar a decent save. And I mean, there was a late rally. I mean, we've got to acknowledge that. Then he might have got one. He does tend to, at least if you look at all of his previous kind of games at Denser, he tends to be, his game is not really being 6'4" and powerhousing all over the place. It's about being in the right place in the box, and he still kind of sort of did that. It was just unfortunate. So I think we need to persist with K9. But just for me. But
I agree, and I think to be fair to Semedo, he did want to do well. He did try, but he's just lost in the system on a bad night. But if you took Irankunda and Loser out of that team, it would have been even more horrific, right?
Yeah.
So I thought the goal. I think Selvik this season's gone backwards. I'm not seeing the level of confidence that he had last season. I didn't go to the game tonight. I only just got back from Morecambe, and I pointed at the TV screen. I said, "That's going to be a goal," and it was. He was so far over. The post-match interview with the Millwall player said
he said
the goalkeeper
made his decision up for him. But he didn't even didn't even put it, in fairness, he didn't even put it right in the corner. It wasn't in the postage stamp like I actually could put something in the postage stamp, but it was one where I think we really would look and question it. I've got to just get your thoughts on this, Tommy, on via YouTube. Tommy, brilliant stuff, thank you. I've asked, is there am I daft? Am I seeing the Emperor's New Clothes and I'm wrong? And he said, Swansea away and Saints at home was okay. Surely 6 games is too early to panic. What is wrong with our fan base? FFS, we all know what that means. He's abbreviated it, but he means for fuck's sake, obviously. Well done, Tommy, good use. The guy has multiple signings to bed in. Can't we judge him at Christmas? 2 wins on the bounce and we are back in the mix. What are your thoughts on that? And well, Tommy, fantastic, mate, because I don't want people. Well, no, of course I want people who agree with me. Whatever your opinions are, what we like to share here. So if you want to ring in or request or what have you, brilliant. But good man for saying your piece. What are your thoughts on that, Paul? Are we being too early? Am I being just simply too grumpy?
It's a difficult one to answer because we've played 7 games, including the cup game. Another nightmare first half.
Yeah.
Charlton, we looked like strangers, and Barr was isolated on the wing and got taken out of the game. And then we saw the first flashes of Irakunda's pace. Then we had the cup game. We were absolutely dreadful. And then we played a terrible QPR team. That first half from QPR was terrible. And we went 2-0 up. And I remember, I think Rich was at a wedding and I messaged him and I said, I don't know if we've suddenly become good or QPR are bad. But if you remember in that second half, it kind of nullified. And I agree, we saw shoots of progress at Swansea. We could have been a couple of goals up.
Yeah.
Southampton, we saw shoots of progress. And, but we've had to have a couple of weldy goals as well in amongst all this. But, the last 2 games have gone backward. Would we see the corner flag tonight? my gut says he'll be given till the next international break. Given that Pozzo's got form for replacing managers in that, I think he'll probably get a bollocking tomorrow, possibly some of the players as well. They'll probably have a big team meeting. For me, he's got to put his best players on the pitch. Bar's got to start. Iran Kunda's got to start.
Oh, have we lost you? I think we've just lost Paul there. There you go. I think we got him there. Bar's got to start. As he said, Iran Kunda's got to start. Tommy's now in discussion. Please, people, don't have a go at Tommy because he voiced his opinion. I'm more than happy to hear that. KP said it's not too early to panic, purely because there's no sign of any potential with this system. I don't think we have a system. I don't see a system of play. I see a formation. I don't personally see a system, but Tommy says 6 games, mate. Calm down. Yeah, and look, he could be absolutely right. He also says, where is it? He says, yeah, 2 wins, and you fickle lot will be lauding him up. You may well be right. You may well be right. Let's get Katie on, a well-known voice here, and also obviously on Voices of the Vic. Katie, you know the procedure. Hit your mic button and let us know your thoughts. Katie, are you with us? There you go. Katie, how you doing? Oh, that's the first bust of this evening, if you'll excuse the expression. Katie, try again, and I will try and get you in from there on. Let's get across to Uncle Ron and see what his thoughts are. I think we probably know. Again, put your comments in the in either on the Twitter. Put your 5-word reviews. We'll go through those a little bit later. But in the meantime, let's hopefully get across to Florida. Or we've got spinning wheel of doom. We may have to go to an alternative US caller in. Who knows? We shall see. No, Ron, trying again. No, I'll remove you from speaker, but try again to come back in, Ron, if you would. Katie's done that. Let's try and get her in. Let's see where we are. Katie, are you there? Katie, hit your mic button, your mute button. There you go. Katie, can we hear you? No, there's some problem there, Katie. Are you using headphones or Bluetooth or anything like that, perhaps? Nope, that's not working for whatever reason. Sorry about that, Katie. We're not doing well suddenly. We're not doing well. Ron is back. Let's see if we can't get this, if we can't get over the transatlantic hiccup that's there. Can hear Katie on X, says Justin. Right, which means, Justin, I'm going to have to add you in to co-host so I can then jump out and jump back in to get it going again. If you could request. Excellent. Bear with us 2 seconds, everybody. This sometimes happens, which basically means it's me rather than Katie. So bear with me 2 seconds. Justin, request to co-host again, please. Right. Justin, you should now be a co-host on the space. There you go. Right, guys, give me 2 seconds and I'll be back again.
Afternoon. Good evening to all of you.
Oh, back in.
Hello, Peter. You back?
I'm back. I'm sorry.
Right, I'll go back into the shadows.
It literally goes into turn it off and turn it on again. So sorry about that. And what a view for you all on YouTube, watching me going, whatever. Let's see if we can't get Ron on. Hopefully we can. Thank you, Ron. Hit your mic button and let us know if you can talk.
I can't hear you, Peter.
Ron, are you there, sir?
Oh, there you are.
There you go. There you go.
Hello there.
That's all right. Fun and games at Twitter Spaces. Never mind. Who knew? Oh well, sir. Look, nice to speak to you. Not under these circumstances, obviously, as ever. But tell us your thoughts, sir, on all things Watfordy.
Well, I said the corner flag had to come out after the Blackburn game. It has to come out this evening. It's horrific, and there's some inescapable facts here, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
This was our second game in 25 days. He's had 25 days to produce the last two performances. It's unacceptable. And the other inescapable fact, actually, there's two more.
Yep.
So, as Rich said, Millwall were down to their bare bones. And there's another one even worse for me. He's ruined Bar's confidence. He's a wonderful player. He can't start the games for some reason. And now when he comes on, he's ineffective. So for that alone, I would sack him tonight. But you add in the turgid football, what we used to call fanny football, possession-based for the sake of possession, sideways and backwards. The only attacking threat is a long shot from Kunda. It's absolutely awful.
That's a question.
Has to come out.
You make a good point there, and I'm just trying to think. And as you know, me trying to think and talk at the same time, I class that as multitasking. I'm not good at either. Is the fact that we've had a number of managers who have purported to play high intensity, high press football. However, when they come to Watford, and I'm thinking of Ishmael, and I'm thinking of this gentleman here, and there have been others as well, it tends to be low intensity, no real pressing from the front, or very, very little of it. And as you say, playing it across the back in a pedestrian kind of possession-based way. I mean, the stats tonight kind of bear that out, because we've had what percentage? 61% of the possession tonight. And other than giving it to Kunda, have not really done enough with it across that whole, 90, 93 minutes, whatever we played in total. Other than that last kind of 5 minutes where, we sort of went for it a little bit, we haven't produced a great deal. Now, that, as you know, opinions differ. Sam Smitherman says, I don't think Watford played badly, fine margins. I disagree with you. If we look exclusively at the first half, I thought we were absolutely dire, Saul, sorry. But I thought second half we did pick up. But isn't that the case that Millwall, and we've spoken to people at Millwall, they said we're having a nightmare every time. We are down to our last bits, and yet we managed to manifest a defeat from going there at the weakest time that we could, kind of play them for them. Well, am I wrong? Are we just kind of taking managers and changing the criteria by which we actually appoint them, because nobody seems to play with any intensity?
No, there was no intensity, and it's nonsense. And this is a very, very how shall I put it? Sartorially, I don't like the look of him. I just don't understand these grey tracksuit bottoms at every game. I can't stand them.
We're back onto Crystal Palace goalkeepers' training trousers again, aren't we? I can tell that.
Yes,
that's reasonable.
But we can't escape that the owner and the chairman said that they were going for promotion. I've said it before. You've seen the videos when a new signing.
They said they wanted to challenge. They wanted to try to go for promotion. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is not going for it. We're near the relegation zone. And someone mentioned Sean Dice and Danny Roll. Well, Danny Roll, sartorially, I like the look of him. He's a very good-looking man. No, really.
Danny Roll's trousers win it, everybody.
And he speaks English better than most English people these days. So I would certainly have him in like a shot if he wanted to come. But we can't carry on with this man. He's absolutely, it's just miserable football. Miserable football.
Well, there you go. There you go. Ron is telling you, like Wallace and Gromit, Paolo Pezzolano has the wrong trousers, and I think that's where we need to finish that one. But there you go. Very nicely put. Katie, I can now get to speak to Katie. Hopefully, Katie, hit your mic button, and I promise to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we finally triumphed. Sorry about that.
Paolo was trying to silence me because he knows what's coming. He knows what's coming. He didn't want me to speak.
That's only reasonable. Go on. You tell us what you think. Go on.
Honestly, tonight was probably some of the worst football I think I've ever seen us play. From the first game against Charlton, I remember saying that I was severely underwhelmed, not impressed by what we came out with on that day. However, people called me obviously dramatic and said, give him time. He's had the time now. He's had, so long to work with this team. Yet every week we are questioning the team. We're seeing, 6, 7 changes. A completely, just a team that does not make any kind of sense. I think he's completely out of his depth. He doesn't know what he's doing. We've got no style to our play. And honestly, I think we have a really decent squad.
Yeah.
Which is why I think Gino has done well over the summer. He's got in the players. He's gotten in a very decent squad, which I think could do really well. But everything is the manager's choices, like the team, the style of play, playing people out of position, the subs. You've got Barr sitting on the bench, and I agree with what everyone before me had been saying about confidence for Barr. He's not going to stick around if he's sitting on the bench and then expected to come on for 20 minutes and make something happen.
Yeah.
It's not how you play football. You go from the get-go, and it's every game we've played as well. We've been so out of ideas that the other team have been able to suss us out straight away. Against Blackburn, it was very easy to just heavily mark people like Barr, Irakunda. They all were very easily kept at bay because that's all the tactic is just hope that they can create something. But if they're heavily marked, they're never going to see the ball. And that was the same thing that happened today. There was so much trying to keep possession. We couldn't even string any passes together. Like, it really, really was a case of who is setting this team is set up to fail. How can you think that this football we're playing is good or going to achieve any kind of level of promotion? And I put in a Twitter comment earlier tonight. I said, I will have respect for Gino if he sacks him now, because all this talk about how much we want to get promoted, how this is the year, this is it. I don't know where they got this manager from. It literally feels like they went to someone on the street and said, hey, do you want to be a football manager? And he went, yeah, I got loads of experience. And because whatever experience he had, it must have been terrible, because there is nothing that reflects on that pitch that screams, yeah, you've got a good manager there. It's really, really dire. And the sooner he goes, the sooner we can, kick on and actually see this team perform as they should, because there's promise that we have good players, but they all look miserable. No one knows what they're doing. You're forcing players to play out of position. When you have players who can play in that position, it genuinely feels insane to me, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's just a couple of comments just to run past you. John Parslow mentioned that in positive news, we're not in the bottom 3. John is in charge of silver linings at DNSYE. Zlatan said, I blame Pozzo for bringing in that forward line promotion. Well, I think Iran Kunda as part of that forward line is good. I think we don't seem to have the balance, because we know how many goals we are not scoring in open play. If that's not an oxymoron, I don't know what is. But, we could do a lot better. But Warren Reynolds put a great number. He put no idea, no direction, doesn't know his preferred system or his 11, and double guessing every game. Amazing side and backwards passing. We had a throw in level with their 18-yard line, and it ended up back with Selvik. Above average players looked like below average. And he says, well, I think he means Paolo out, but either that or I don't know if you know anybody called Paula there, Warren, but you put Paula out, and if I was Paula, I'd be taking offence to that, but never mind. Yeah, it's just, you just need somebody to be able to take hold of these, this young, inexperienced, and give them a pattern of play, give them an identity, give them some forward momentum, because we just seem to have it, as I say, 61% tonight, and we created absolutely nothing until literally the final the final knockings. We brought on Barr, who is surely our second biggest attacking threat after Iran Kunda. But not only that, if you've got him on the pitch and you've got Iran Kunda on the pitch, then good luck doubling up on both of them, because there'll be gaps all over the place. It does feel like we are, I don't know, like we're simply holding back from going forward for fear of conceding. And so what we end up with is these games that feel like death by 1,000 cuts, rather than, let's go for it. Okay. But, there's a man on the screen for those people watching, you on TV. Watching on YouTube. Old habits die hard. I don't know where that one came from. Graham Taylor. It was forward, foot, it was front foot football. It was, we're going to come and have a go. I'm not saying you go completely imbalanced. I appreciate the game has changed, but we've got some attacking threat. We've got, let's face it, if we can get Chak actually fit, because he has been out for a couple of months, as was said previously. If you've got him and Loser, then we really should have one of the better footballing sides. And I thought we were the better footballing side. And you've got devastating players like Bar and Iran Kunda, but we are not utilising them seemingly. I mean, I don't know, maybe people will point to the Blackburn game and say, well, we weren't front-footed, we were too front-footed there and we gave them the gaps. But holy heck, we've got to do something to try to get some
Can I just
some
say,
game open play goals. Yeah, far away.
at the end of the day, like, if Paolo is trying to still figure out his style of play, obviously it's not fine, but like, you can do that. But the least you should be doing is playing your best 11. That is like the lowest kind of standard that you should be doing. Trying to see how things go and figure things out, and then also not correcting mistakes. Making subs at the 75th minute or the 80th minute, Rocco Vata coming on in the 85th minute, like, that is criminal. I don't know how he can be watching these games and thinking, oh, like, I don't know what he thinks. I genuinely don't know why he takes so long to make the subs. If I was him and you go, okay, I'm going to take a risk, I'm going to play this team, okay, 45 minutes in, we're dreadful, I'm making the subs at half time. And he did make subs at half time. They just weren't the right ones. And I don't know why he doesn't correct himself on these mistakes. And I think that's what Gino will look at. And he's had, this game and the Blackburn game to think, I took a risk, it hasn't worked. What am I going to do to make things right? And he doesn't seem to be correcting or even learning from his mistakes, which is what bothers me.
Lovely stuff. Before you go, Casey, Tommy, who has been the voice of rationality in terms of saying, look, has having Pozzo as our owner made us turn against managers after a poor run? Sad times, he says. I've got sympathy with this. I really do. Tommy, I'm not being sarcastic in any way, shape, or form, mate, because I'm sitting there going, it's 7 games. I just want to see something. I want to see some indication that this guy is not the emperor's new clothes. And so far, I haven't seen anything. And he's had, Ron came on and mentioned, he's had, did you say 24 days? Because of the international break, and then, a Saturday through to the Monday here to prepare them. And these are the performances we've got. In addition to that, he's had the pre-season. I just haven't seen anything. I genuinely haven't seen anything. The number of goals from open play, the number of chances from open play have been poor. It's been as abject as I can think of, to my mind. But I do understand his point entirely, which is, am I entitled, or should I be able to expect more from a Watford performance than we've seen over the last 2 games? Other people have said actually it was quite a close game. It was tight. Other opinions are available, and this is where we like to hear them. So, Katie, what are your thoughts on that?
I think there is an argument that we can get, like,
culturally,
a bit
yeah,
quick heavy on like getting the managers in and out. But like I was saying to my dad tonight stuff, I said this could be some of the worst football I think I've ever seen. And the fact that, Tom Cleverley did better with a worse squad and was still sat, like, the fact he is been given almost one of the best chances as a manager by our owners, which doesn't come regularly, which has been, not given to so many people before him. He's been given the best. I mean, obviously we don't know what's going on in the background, but
no.
On paper, we can assume that he has been given the best chance at succeeding with this squad. It is not fair and not okay for him to be achieving what he is achieving. And like you said, I haven't seen anything that is promising, because the games that we've won, okay, yeah, I'll give him credit for, Southampton game, this. But at the end of the day, he saw those games, they performed well. And then the next time he completely changed everything and subbed off, made 5-6 changes. Why did he do that? Same again tonight, loads of changes. And for me, I think he's out of his depth. I think he was never the right decision. And obviously I think I'm quite like, I want to put my trust in managers. Like with Cleverley, I wanted to keep him for as long as possible. I never wanted him to be sacked. This guy is so PE teacher. Like he clearly doesn't have a clue of what's going on. And I don't think it is a case of we're just jumping the gun, get him gone. I just think that there is no promise with him. And if anyone thinks that there is with what they've seen on the pitch in the last 7 games, then you must just be incredibly optimistic, because everything I've seen is so poor to what I know we can achieve because of the type of players that we have.
Very good. Very good. Lovely stuff, Katie. As ever, Katie, superb input here. Love to hear from her here, but also you'll hear more from her over at Voices of the Vic as well. Obviously with the guys over there. Tommy and KP appear to be having on social media what seems to be a nice and intelligent discussion. I mean, guys, this is social media. Come on, start insulting one another. With the words total respect. Well done. Two people disagreeing, putting their points forward. It shouldn't be a reason for anything, but I have to say, Tommy's hit him with a belter of a top trump at the end. Alex Ferguson was one game away from the sack. Just saying. Got to say, Tommy, absolute brilliant performance. Thank you for joining us on here. The fact they didn't recruit an experienced centre forward is criminal balance of recruitment. It's all wrong, says Benelli, or Bignally, one of the two, 979. Thank you very much for that. Let's get Vinnie on from across the States. We've only done one trip across the States so far. Time we corrected that. Vinnie, sir, whereabouts are you? Are you in Dallas or are you being transcontinental once again?
Yes, I'm in Dallas. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Did you get to see it? I mean, I appreciate you probably got to balance it with work and stuff.
Yeah, I was watching it instead of working.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
We're all in charge of flouncing off. Go on.
I'll start with the one positive tonight. That Musa Sissoko did not step on the field. That was incredible. What a coaching decision.
Yes. Well, I mean, after Saturday, it would have been, in fairness, I don't mean to be disrespectful, because let's face it, he's a lot younger and a lot fitter, obviously, than I am. But he was on for the full 90 on Saturday. I think it would have been a question of, right, okay, run your legs off there, and then we'll kind of give the other guys a run, and you'll just be on the bench just in case. But yes, I do get your point. I do get your point. So in our history has definitely made us quick to want to sack the manager, but this guy hasn't got a clue. What are your thoughts? Does the manager have a clue? Is he? Am I being completely unfair in what is obviously a shoot from the hip kind of reaction after a game? Because, you know, I'm just like everybody else. You watch the game and you kick every ball, and you just kind of caught up in the moment. But I just haven't seen enough from him as yet. And you know, Tommy is keeping me kind of sane by going, yeah, but it's not been very long. What are your thoughts on him from what you've seen?
Yeah, when you have a great performance subbing in all your attacking players against Southampton, who's like a top 3 team in this division, and then you decide to play football terrorista against Millwall in the Den, you clearly have no idea what you're doing. Like you're playing Mendy at right wing back, who he had great defensive stats in League 2, but one of the things was he couldn't really put it forward or put a cross in, whatever. I mean, he's a center back, it's fine. But he was below average at center back doing that stuff. He's going to be putrid at left wing back doing that stuff in comparison. And it's he put probably 8, 9, 10 crosses in there. It's just not, I don't know what the plan was there. That was just awful. Especially when Liam Cooper, 6'4", he's basically getting heading practice on a Tuesday training ground.
Cooper is 6'6". I mean, there was a one point where Kayembe was going up against him, and Kayembe had half of his shirt, and he had basically was practically standing on his shoulders. It was a bit of a mismatch, to be honest. Yeah, Cooper's a real old-fashioned centre-back, the likes of the old people like me look back on and go, oh, weren't they great? But he's Millwall through and through. But again, they didn't really create very, very much at all.
Right.
But we still managed to contrive to make sure we come away, totally pointless. And we have, we see Semedo starting instead of Kieran guard. Don't know where Dumbia was. Presumably might have picked up a niggle or a knock or what have you. You never quite know whether or not somebody's 100% fit or not, or whatever the situation is. But I don't think there's an awful lot that we've seen from Semedo to say that he is ready to be thrown in at the Den at this moment, along with the two Mendy's, for their sort of active debuts as well, even playing out of position. But it just felt a little bit off in that, well, completely off in that first half, didn't it?
Yeah, like when you're playing 4 center backs and like Luza, who drops deep to get the ball, and Mendy, who's not really an attacking minded player either. Like you're just hoofing it up there to nobody, really. Like there's just no like interplay in the midfield or anything. It's like you have to play the attacking players. Like you can lose 3-0, like, and that's fine. Like we wouldn't care. Well, I mean, I guess we would care, but it's not as like you're playing for a tie or like a 1-0 loss. It's terrible. And I think Katie said this, just sub them on at half then. Like you saw what it was. I guess you stopped them. They had the free kick, whatever.
Yeah.
But just sub them on. We beat them in XG with 6 defenders out there. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Imagine if you had only had 4.
I haven't seen the XG table tonight. I don't think I can look at any table tonight. It would absolutely do me in.
It's like 0.7 to 0.73. It's like it's a tie, whatever. But like you're matching them on like XG and all this stuff with 6 defenders playing. You just need to not do that ever. It's not rocket science. But I mean, I guess apparently it is for a Watford manager, but I don't know.
Fair enough. All right, sir. Well, look, thank you very much as ever. Good to see you and hear you there. Let's just before. Hold on, I'm full fingers and thumbs, everybody. I'm trying to multitask, and let's be honest, it ain't working. Let's just quickly bring a couple of things. So, Danny Baker, I have to say I'm a Danny Baker fan. I appreciate his Marmite, but I think he's genius. His tweet was, walking into the Den tonight, it was worth it, he says. Not many teams will be as accommodating as Watford tonight, though. Then again, maybe this is the start of something. Whatever, we won. That does indeed. Mr. Rose, that says it all. You're absolutely correct. Ryan Dabdoob says, evening. If Petsolana loses versus Hull on Saturday, I've got a feeling he will go. Who would we get to replace him as manager is the question. And he then also said, who would you replace him with if he gets sacked? It felt like Watford played on the playground in some instances. I thought, I don't disagree. I mean, the interesting names, used earlier on were Sean Dyche, but other people have pointed out the fact that, Sean Dyche and firing of him was the first thing the Pozzos did when they first came through the door. That's unlikely. He also has said before that he wouldn't really be keen on managing in that sort of environment where he has not got managerial control. He's a manager rather than that. Danny Roll is an interesting one because he's done good things at Sheffield Wednesday under very, very difficult circumstances with a difficult owner. So, hey, I'll let you join the dots on that one. That might be something, but hey, he's not gone yet. So we'll see where we go. Let's get across to Mr. Neil Silverstein, sir, on the South Coast. Neil, sir, how you doing?
Yeah, well, I guess the same as everyone else, pretty pissed off. Couple things. Interesting one. A point that nobody's picked up on about tonight's game. I thought it was even worse than most have said, because I thought we had the ref on our side.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have given a couple of fouls against Kevin and probably a booking for his constant wrestling, and then that did appear to be a penalty. I think most people from the chats that I'm in agreed, and I think the ref really was on our side. So fuck me if we can't win when we've got a ref on our side. What hope have we got? The question about what we do now and why the sentiment after only 6 games is where it is, I think some of it is driven from the fact that we all had an affinity with Tom, and none of us wanted Tom to go. So when you've got that backdrop of you had a player that most of us kind of idolised or could at least associate with and had a level of connection, and he did bring a connection with the fans and the players and bring the club together. You've kind of gone, or Pozzo's gone against that with this current appointment. So I think that's one of the reasons that I find myself, as along with you, Pete, and many others, I wouldn't be that bothered if he did go. Now, the flip side of it is, and to Holly's point about the way that Pozzo and the rest of the twats that are in suits in the club meddle,
Yeah.
I actually think it's irrelevant who comes in, because it's just going to be the same. It's been the same for 4 years. So why will it be any different? All right. But I do think that's what's driving some of the narrative. But I'm going to give you some stats, because I do like some stats.
Right, stats, everybody. Go on, him.
The bit that really pisses me off, right, and I find myself not backing, but supporting Gino to a point. We actually have the 9th highest wage bill in the league, right? A reported 19.5 million, far more or above what the big spending Birmingham and Wrexham have. So if you measure the financial commitment, albeit that it's probably created from debt, Gino is putting money into the club in terms of putting highly paid players on the pitch or in the squad, right? And that's the bit that I get confused about, because he's doing that, but then it's either the manager is fucking clueless by putting people in the wrong positions, or as Paul said earlier, and I believe what he says to be true, because I've had it from other sources.
Yeah.
Pozzo's then telling the manager where to play them. And that's just complete fucking stupidity, because he's actually wasting his own money. That just is so illogical, but that's so Pozzo. And then another thing, and if you thought it couldn't get any worse.
This is a good start. Carry on.
This is going to send some people into a tailspin.
God.
And yeah, John's right. We are just outside of the relegation zone. But as the table stands tonight, we have not played anyone in the top 8. Right? So all of this shit that's been served up has been against teams that are in the bottom half. Yeah. Well, not even in and around us, because I mean, fucking hell, that amazing side QPR, sarcasm in case anyone didn't pick it up, they're in about 8th, 9th, right? It's a shit league, right? And even spending the thick end of 20 million on the wage bill, we can't get a decent performance out of the team. And that's the bit that hurts, that there hasn't been a team performance. There have been individual moments of brilliance, be it an Irukunda free kick or a bar run. And by the way, I wouldn't start Bar because he's far more impactful coming off the bench than he is starting, which is a bit of a conundrum. But that's the same as it's been for the last 4 or 5 years. We were reliant on either, João Pedro, Ismail Assar. We've always been. We've always been structured in a way that it's like, right, we'll pack the defence out, have 1 or 2, if you like, golden moment players, and if they manage a moment of brilliance, we do all right. If they don't, we're fucked. And we're seeing that play out again. I think that is a consequence of the model that Pozzo believes to be successful. But unfortunately, the data and the performance and the results are telling us differently.
Very good. I have to point out that Alex Dalasal has made a suggestion. Kike Sanchez Flores, version 3. What would be your thoughts on that? We know we can attract the man to the club.
Well, I think clearly Ron will be happy, because I think he's got a fairly high level of sartorial elegance.
This is what we should be doing. We should be finding completely different criteria. And sartorial elegance, to be frank, is probably going to be as successful as anything else that we've been sort of managing people by.
Yeah, but I'd go with, and I think there's this big craze about getting AI generated models. You might as well get a fucking AI generated model of, I don't know, Alex Ferguson, because he's got about as much chance as Flores coming back for the 3rd time, Munoz coming back for the 2nd time. I'm still of the opinion that the culture that is in the club is rotten, and that over time seeps from the boardroom onto the pitch. And whoever comes in, unless they have some biblical powers, we're going to end up just going through exactly the same thing. And Katie used the phrase earlier. It's Einstein's definition of an idiot. It's doing the same things and expecting a different outcome. And I think I've said that about 4 times on this fucking podcast. So I must be the fucking idiot.
Don't be knocking that. That you are the rock on which this fucking podcast is based. That'll do. That's what we like to
Well,
see.
there you go. The evening's finished on a low. Thanks for that, Pete. I'm
You're-
off to take a long look in the mirror.
You're
Good night.
you're very welcome, sir. Wonderful stuff, Mr. Neil Silverstein. There, thank you very much indeed. Ryan Badoob has asked, "Hi Pete, would Espirito Santo come? Your thoughts on him?" No, I think he'll end up at West Ham. He was in one of their bars on a game on Saturday, and a lot of the West Ham guys were going, putting this stuff on social media and saying, "Come on, Graham Potter's still in the seat. Have a bit more respect for it." I doubt we'd get him. Mr. Jason Rose, sir, how are we doing?
Hey, can you hear me?
I've got you loud and clear, sir. I've got you loud and clear. Thank you very much for the addition of the Danny Baker bit. I like a bit of Danny Baker, me.
Yeah. I often follow him. I follow him on Twitter. It'll never be X. And I just I know. I follow him, and obviously I was keeping an eye out for a Millwall quit. There's always something. I think last year when we won 3-2 up there, he had some go at the pair of us saying that we were both going to be in the relegation zone or something or other. So he's a funny one. But I just wanted to I know. I just want to echo a couple of bits. Obviously, the very eloquent Mr. Silverstein there. I agree with him. I think what they say about a fish, it rots from the head downwards, or it's awful. But I've shared this. I think we've been sold. We were all sold. The magic beans in the summer. I think Gino told us that we were going to be pushing for promotion and all this, that, and the other. And I think to give the guy credit, I don't like to, but I think he probably meant it at the time, because I think he thought he was going to be selling Udinese, and he was going to have a lot of money rattling around in his pocket so he could give it a proper go. And then it fell through, and he's having to, all of a sudden, we're shopping at Quick Save. Other supermarkets are available, and I think that's the problem. I think we've got some very talented young lads.
Yeah, I agree.
We desperately needed some better old heads in there. You look at the average age of that team tonight. I mean, it's can't be going to Millwall with that sort of side. I mean, we've all said it. You looked at the lineup at whatever time it was, quarter to 7. You thought, what the hell is going on there? It didn't. I don't know. I'm struggling with this fella. I think his time is gone. I know. God bless Tommy. I think he's a diamond amongst men. But yeah, Christ, I just don't see it, Tommy. I think taking your point, Pete. If you take the 7 competitive games, they're not been good. But if you look just a little bit further back, we had the pre-season games. So I watched the Leyton Orient game, and I watched obviously the Deportivo game. And there was nothing in there really to think, oh, right, I can see how we're going to play. We're going to play like this. There's a pattern of play. There's a thought process. There's a way we're going to. We haven't seen any of that. And that's the concern for me. That has always been the concern.
That's absolutely the case, in my opinion. I agree.
There's been no something you can hang your hat on and go. If someone said to me at work, obviously I work in the local area with Oxford fans and all the rest of it, and they come up to me and say, how do Watford play? I would struggle. I struggle to say how we play. I have no idea. All I can tell them is basically we piss about with it at the back. That's basically all I can tell them. I don't know how we play. I don't know what the plan is. For me, it's been a struggle. And I think one of the things Petzolano has struggled with, and just taking on board something that you said earlier on, one of the things that is his problem is something he can't do anything about, which is he's not Tom Cleverley. That's a problem. We're old enough to remember, obviously, Graham Taylor leaving and Bassett coming in. And Bassett suffered with the same thing, which was he wasn't Graham Taylor. And the fact that the football was as abject as what we're seeing now, the world has completely changed. Bassett really, if you think about it now, probably should have gone well before Christmas, well before Elton finally sort of sucked it up and eventually gave in and sacked him. But I'm not saying there are echoes, but it's just that I think Petzolano, one of his biggest problems, he's just not Tom Cleverley. We all got behind Tom. Yes, there were problems, but as we've all said, he needed a bit of help in January. He didn't get it. this guy's been given some decent tools to work with. You know, I'm not saying that it's the finished article, but we're not a fourth from bottom, fifth from bottom team. We shouldn't be anywhere near that. We should be mid-table. I know it's very early. I appreciate it's early, but you know, it's for me, it's not so much the results; it's the fact that we've all got eyes, Pete. You know, we watched the game.
Yeah.
How many times their keeper really had to work?
Oh.
Irakunda, good shot, and Kieran Guards, that snapshot.
And
But,
loser from outside of the box. I mean, everything was
exactly,
at range.
Yeah, but I mean,
and in fairness, Millwall did a job on us. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They not that we posed an awful lot of threat, but they did enough to sort of keep us at range at all times, which was frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, to go to Tommy's point, and I understand his thought. I admire the guy for sort of going into that a little bit, but sometimes, and to go into Rich and some of the others, we go to football to be entertained. I don't really want to see. I don't. We had 60% possession, as you said earlier on. But what do we do with it? We go to football to watch goal mouth action. And I like it. I was funny enough. My boss is a Chelsea fan, and I was talking to him about Chelsea earlier on, and I was saying, I couldn't watch Chelsea every week because of the way they just knock the ball around for no apparent reason.
Mm-hmm.
They're 2-1 down at Old Trafford, and they're knocking the ball around on the edge of their box, and you're thinking, get it forward. Fast forward to tonight, we're 1-0 down at the Den into injury time, and we're taking short goal kicks. I mean, you could argue that all we're doing is lining up Jake Cooper to head the ball away, but at least get the ball forward. Let's have a little bit of a go. And I just felt that I feel your frustration. I could sort of feel it in the way you were talking. We've all been sold a bit of a dud. We got told this was going to be high octane, high velocity football. Based on what he saw with PSG and all this, that, and the other. Well, I don't know what PSG was watching, but it certainly ain't the one we watched in Champions League last year, because we don't close the ball down. We don't do the basics. Their left back put some lovely crosses in. There's no pressure on the ball. We're just so static.
Yeah.
Players will receive the ball and there's no options, and it's disappointing. And I know we've almost become a bit numb to it, but I know it's some fans get a bit embarrassed about the whole Watford sacking manager's point of view. But I think this is one that if we woke up to the corner flag tomorrow morning, we'd all go, okay, fine. Well, I don't think any of us would be shocked, would we? Really?
No, we wouldn't. I mean, Jason and I are on a message board together, and we were having various conversations, and I made the comment previously that, not being daft, if there were a corner flag, I don't think you would see 1,000 people sending emails into the club tomorrow in protest. We haven't. I described this particular manager thus far, and I love the fact that Tommy and KP are having a conversation in the chats about this with each other and ignoring us all. We're just occasionally very voyeuristically going in and having a look at what they're saying, but it's all good. It's all good. They're having a good chat. But I turn around, I put him, and it's very early days, and I know this is unfair and all of this, but he feels to me like an Ivic. He feels like an Ishmael. It feels like somebody who I have grown no attachment to. He's very difficult to like. And I appreciate he looks like, Rob Edwards' older, uglier brother, which isn't going to help anybody, but it's just, and that's not having a go at Paolo Pezzolano, but let's face it, Rob Edwards is, Sky started sending better looking reporters just to kind of bathe in his sunlight. So he just, I don't know why. I just don't get it. And I don't see it on the park. I think you're absolutely right. There is very little identity that we have as a team. Thank you very much indeed there, Jason. Let's have a look. We had a couple of other points in there. Here we go. Let's just get back in, have a look at KP and Tommy as they're discussing things. It's very good. I like this. Here's the middle ground, he says. Paolo is sacked in the morning. They're negotiating everything, and the middle ground is that he's sacked tomorrow. I like this. Unless he agrees to come on the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast so we can all grill him. That's something that gets one of those. If you can hear that, well done. Daniel Kirby says there's that young upshot of Middlesbrough, Rob Edwards or something. Yes, absolutely. No, we've got his older brother. Pete, I've only just subscribed. Great channel, great Watford support community on there. Lovely, thank you very much, Ryan. That's great stuff. Tommy says, wasn't he in the bottom three at the Spanish side? He was at Valladolid. Fans turned big time on him. Massive protests. Then he got them promoted. He did get them promoted, and at the plaza, the big kind of square when they were doing the celebration, it was Petzolano himself who, when they've got the trophy or whatever it is, they're kind of all celebrating, who started chanting "Sack Petzolano," and then you saw these Spaniards going, "Oh, right, okay, you're bringing that up now, are you?" It was a bit odd, but yes, he did, and yeah, fair enough. So we said, it's not May, no, absolutely. I was entertained at Saints and Swansea and QPR, 50% of his games, of his league games, absolutely. That's good. That's me being pedantic with various stuff. Let's get Chris Taufer on, who's been waiting forever. Chris, hit your mic button down the bottom. Let's see if you are there. Chris, are you still with us? Nope, I think Chris is gone. Never mind. That's okay. We'll get on to the 5 words in just a minute. But before we do, there is especially for those people who are watching perhaps for the first time on YouTube, there is a fine tradition with Ant, and I hope Ant's ready. I'm looking to see whether or not he's there. When he comes on, he gives himself his own theme tune, and I like that very much. I'm hoping he's done that today. Ant, if you're with us, and this is a hell of a build up if you're not, by the way, if you're there, give us your intro.
All the ones going down at Mary.
I don't know what this is. There's normally some kind of subliminal messaging in the song. I'm not getting it. Bye, City Rollers. Very good. Bye, baby. Bay City Rollers. You are not old enough to remember the Bay City Rollers. Surely not.
I'm not.
God.
I used to watch the what was it called? The Grimleys? Was it the Grimleys?
Oh, what?
Gordon Grimley. He had Amanda Holden in it. She was fucking fit, mate. I was probably about 8 wanking over her. Something like that. But she was.
I'm so sorry, everybody. We've done so well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
you and Amanda Hold'em, and indeed you are holding them. Never mind. So there we go. Bye, baby. But you think you'll be gone soon?
I mean, yeah, I've not come on, have I, this season? I've been quite tight-lipped. I've been waiting to see what's going on.
You've been waiting for the opportunity to play your Bay City Rollers.
Nah, I just can't be fucking bothered. I've literally I've lost my interest.
I'm
not gonna lie, my interest in the club's gone right down. But this season, I'm thinking, right, team looks good. Pozzo's on it. He's backing the manager. And he has actually backed the manager this season compared to Tom, isn't he? He's given it. We've got a good squad on paper.
I think that's the point. It is on paper, and it's young, and therefore it needs assistance. It needs guidance. It needs seemingly a plan rather than go out there and play it as you see it. I mean, there's arguments from both sides that you don't want to overcoach a team. You want to see the level of improvisation that we see from somebody like Iran Kunda. You don't want to coach that out of him, but you need to have some kind of framework, defensive framework, but also when we've got possession and we're needing to go, move the ball perhaps quicker. We're needing to maybe move it wider rather than constantly going through to Iran Kunda, because that makes us very single-threaded. Could we have more wide attacking options so it's harder to double up on somebody like Iran Kunda? Because if you scouted that game for the first 10 minutes, you go double up on Iran Kunda and you'll basically snuff them out, because there really wasn't that much more in an attacking sense going on, was there?
Well, I don't know. See, this is what's confusing me. Like, I'm sort of thinking, right, Bar and Irakunda, yeah, we should start them. I'm thinking, right.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, if I'm in, if you take Irakunda off, or when you start either way, like you're basically sort of half replacing, well, mostly replacing the player for a player, aren't you? So you can sort of see why he's not starting both of them. He's like, well, if I take him off, I can bring either one on, and they're pretty similar. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Rather than the free kick for Iracunda, obviously Iracunda's got the free kick talent, but I mean,
but the thing is
Start by-
the tradition of if you've got attacking wide players who can play on opposite ends, is it stretches the opposition defence, and especially if you're going with one player and you can double up on him, from a defensive point of view, if you do have an alternate kind of point of attack, and I get your point in terms of sort of a little bit similar, but I'm okay.
I don't know what he's thinking. I'll start both of them. Do you know what I mean? But is that what he's thinking? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Is that what's going through his mind? It's like,
well, we heard from Neil say,
and
Neil made a great point, which is, and it is true that if you go back to last season, especially at the start of last season, both Vata and Bar came on as impact subs. Primarily, they were, they would come on at the end when the opposition were tired, and then they would absolutely rip them a new one. And it was a delight to see, and we all saw that, because that's when the majority of goals will come in the last kind of third of the game. And when he starts, you don't tend to see Bar being quite so on the front foot. The last time, ironically, when he was the Bristol City game last season, where after 15 minutes he got knackered because they tried to bring him back a little bit too early. His hamstring went, never to be seen again. We need to make sure he's 100% to be going and starting. But I just feel that if you've got a 4-2-3-1, which surely is the pattern that this squad has been assembled to. We've got 3 forwards. Okay, they're all young. We all know that. Fine. But their job is to basically go and occupy and be full of legs and chase down the opposition defence as much as possible and put as much pressure on them as possible, play with their back to goal, and then bring others into play. And in a 4-2-3-1, you then have 2 wide attacking midfielders that could be a combination of Irankunda, Vata, could be Bar, could be obviously Chak Fatadza. We've got Marma. There's crikey, there's even Tom Ince. There's a whole host of players, and then you've got one of those to also play centrally. That really would be on a front foot, an attacking formation would be there, and then you balance it out with a 4 and a 2 at the back. But you've got to be prepared to defend with the 4 doing it properly. And I said the other day when I was chatting to Justin and Carl that the last game, and I don't know if you got to see the game against Charlton where we conceded with 4 minutes of injury time. 94th minute we concede. The very next game, 3 days later, in the first 15 to 20 minutes, we concede 2 goals from wide areas again, and it was almost like you could almost see him. And if anybody was at the Norwich game, what happened was Selvik went down injured, and everybody came across and they reorganised and went to a 3-5-2. Because he wanted to have, he said, you could see it. We cannot defend wide balls into the box with simply 4 at the back with only 2 centre backs, and that has kind of upset the apple cart from what we've recruited to what we've now decided to play, because the pattern seemed to get ripped up after about 120 minutes. Now, it's fine to be tactically adjustable. I get that completely, but we seem to have done it and not really kind of decided to settle ourselves on a primary identity in the first place, which is a shame. So there we go. Anyway, lovely to hear from Ant there. Just to finish us off on that, I'm going to go through some of the 5-word reviews for everybody, and then let everybody get a bit of shut eye, no doubt, because I'm sure you absolutely need it. 7 games is enough to judge. White flag this evening, as we didn't even try to get back in the game. So I was just reading a note there from Vic Bate, who puts out a lot of stuff, which is often very good to listen to. Go and have a search for Vic and see what he says. Here we go. Where's our 5-word reviews? Right, hold on. Before I do that, I've got to do this, haven't I? Hang on, everybody. Got to press that. Look at that, 5 words and long form reviews for everybody who's listening on Spaces. That won't have made a damn thing. Never mind. Here we go. Peter Hotwood. He says, got a sneaky feeling Gino's already on the phone, getting the next man in, needing just a little time to finalise things. Corner flag on the 28th of September, Sunday morning. Peter, that was very nice and precise. I like that. If we're going to have a sweepstake, you've got Sunday morning very well. Piss poor Paolo's P45 pending, says Gareth, Kingswood Hornet. Nice. Ryan Cripps says, very frustrating tonight. Paolo, under serious pressure now, must win Saturday or he's out for me. Hope to see you down the bunker or Red Lion Pete. Yeah, absolutely. Cripsies are back in town. Lee Jackson says, we've probably got 2 of the fastest centre-backs in the league, but See, he wants to play 3 deep centre backs. Why not just play a 4-2-3-1 and a higher line? Oh, Lee, you said this 41 minutes ago. It took me. It sounds like I've read it. Square pegs and all that. Absolutely. PP is absolutely devoid of ideas and is underestimating this division at his peril. Just get the flags out, he says. Peter Toilers Jones. Can't believe how shit we ran out of words, he says. Incoming League One M1 derby, says Carl Campion. Michael Froome says awful team selection and clueless subs. John Parslow, definitely not a manic Mendy. I like that. Dan Harvey, all fart and no poo. Sorry, I appreciate. I know it says a lot about me, but that's getting one of these. All fart and no poo, always a classic. Boring, clueless, and totally toothless, says PSH, and that's just me. So there you go. Dave Lavender says HMS promotion / playoff push is starting to let in water and is gradually sinking. Vic Bay, who I mentioned just a moment ago, said we didn't try to win. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Potso out is a talent drain, says Hampshire Hornet. Les Bean, and I'm calling it Bean there, Gary, says no direction other than sideways. Uncle Ron, we heard from earlier on. Smelly tracksuit bottoms out tonight, he says. Not pleased with his sartorial elegance. Yeah, I'm wearing joggers at the moment. That's not good, is it? What an image, me and jogging. Nah, that's never happening. Please post Paolo Pezzolano parting. I like that. Dickie Sutton says, take the bloody handbrake off. That's a very good analogy for it. Nero the Golden Boy says, that was another awful match and another awful watch, I should say. Mark N74 says, he has to go surely. Pete Ryan says, Craven, confused, callow, concussed and capitulation. I like that. Danny Roll is available, says Jason. Jason Rose, we heard from earlier on. Gary's back. He says, it's okay. 3i Atlas is coming. What's that mean? I don't know what that is. Oh dear. Edward Hayter Hayhead says excruciating, incomprehensible buffoonery. Fecked off. That's very good use of the 5 word. That's getting one of them. I'm sorry. A combination of excruciating, incomprehensible buffoonery. I mean, before we even get to fecked off, which is very pleasing in itself, the first 3, brilliant. Bring back Backman and Ryovic, says Kevin Robbins. Kevin, well done. That's the kind of talk we like around here. Piss poor from PP, says Simon Parkin Hayes. Starting the decline earlier than at Christmas this year, says Mark Carpenter. Exactly. We are ahead of our time. So we should be very proud. Absolute fucking pile of shit, says Smitty, not messing with his words. Except obviously he is, because Wesley Wheeler comes in and says shit, and more shit afterwards. Willie Eckers says fuck off Paolo and Gino. There you go. There's no splitting of demarcations on that. Some beautiful extended possession spells, says Mel. Yeah, there was, but just didn't. It's not about possession though. It's about effectiveness, isn't it? For us at this moment in time. Get him gone, abject, says Jason. I miss Coronation Street. Sigh, says Gary. Yeah, I bet the missus didn't. Tactics, meh. Intensity, meh. Overall, meh. Alan WFC says not playing to our strengths. Alan Ray says game plan, and what fucking game plan? Gino Pozzo is a clown, says Paul Fiander Turner. Did he play tonight? I'm not sure he did. I think there's 2 issues here. We know about the culture. We know about all of the things that we've got here. And a lot of people said until Gino goes, will it change? Will the interference potentially change that's been talked about? You know, whether it be a technical director or an assistant technical director or an owner who likes to have his say. All of that fundamentally is the coach getting enough out of this squad as well. So two sort of separate pieces really, but both questions up for debate certainly this early on in the season. What for kickstarting seasons yet again? Time for the corner flag, says Jason. Paul Mostyn says Millwall's first home league victory. Yep. Well, you know, we did, when we were on their one, and we did say, don't worry, we'll be coming like messiahs in the night, and boy didn't we. I'm done. Edwards was sacked for less, not going to last the week, he says. Matthew Kennedy. He was, and there was a great question where Tommy and KP were talking, and Tommy's comment was, well, are you going to fire the next manager who's got 5 games and 5 points, or 6 games and 5 points is in there, whatever. But and I get his point. That very question was put to Gino Pozzo back at the Parlacci Gino. This was 2 years ago, and it was John Parslow who said, well, you know, if somebody else gets to 16 points after 10 games, that's 16 points after 10 games. Are you going to sack him? And the answer was, I reserve the right to sack him, basically. So the question is, and one of the reasons why I think the impatience and the contrast in terms of talking around Tom Cleverley is when Tom Cleverley was fired, and this was before Paolo Pezzolano kind of homed into view or anything like that, was the call was, we need more experience because we need to challenge for promotion. And I keep coming back and saying these words, challenge for promotion. Doesn't mean get promotion, but be in and around it, be at least having a go. And we are not. But this is not a level of performance or a level of results that Gino Pozzo is likely to have. Has that influenced us as a culture? Has it influenced me tonight? Yeah, it has. Because you look at it and you go, if you're only going to judge your managers by results, why should I judge Gino Pozzo's hires and fires in any other way? Not sure if that helps or not, but anyway, there you go. Big Galoot says coaching staff punished wearing Skechers. I don't think that's it. Their Skechers are a local company and they sponsor the CSE Trust as well, who do lots of good work. So I like that. I've said Skechers too many times now. Same bollocks over and over, says Vince Smith. That's me. Absolutely all right. Get Danny Roll in now. Danny Roll is definitely on a roll for that. Get this clown gone now, says Michael Sills. Jason has all the wrong plans. Talented group with no idea manager. On balance, piss poor, says Dave. Matt Burns says, is there 3 worse teams? Getting sacked in the morning, says Stuart Crookshank. Hornet Boy says, get him the fuck gone. Not much. There's not much grey area in most of these. Laura Goods comes in and says, attacking intensity, far too late. And I think that's absolutely spot on. HMS pissed the league, lol, says Richard WFC. Richard WFC Pozzo out. Jonathan Hale says, too negative to begin with. Gary Fleming, no attacking threat at all. Ryan South says, give Yavi Grazia a ring. Oh, I'm sounding like Paul Whitehouse from the Fosher. Oh, shoot, sir, absolutely. Rob C says promotion push, having a laugh. Slatin 10 says bar has been sussed out. Yeah, possibly. Is it should he not start? Should he be played in a position that it's going to stop him getting kind of doubled up on? I mean, he was playing as a pseudo right wing back today. It was almost like a like for like as I looked at it. It may have changed a little bit more for those people who were in the ground and could see the shape a bit better. Complete duffer of a manager, completely clueless, says Tony May. Doesn't know how to set up his team. David Sweet says surely he has won a competition to be manager. Utterly clueless. The General Orn on Fernham says, softly, what the fuck is going on? Fuck off, you donkey Paolo. You got the idea here, everybody. But Alex Mitchell, clueless, shapeless, soulless, fucking drivel. Ryan, there are no words. Well, no, they were, because Alex just gave it to them. They were clueless, shapeless, soulless, and fucking drivel. Sorry, Ryan, sorry to correct you there, but you've made up for it in memes, and I like that. Players and manager looks clueless. Just a matter of time. Simon Humphrey says, same boring shit every match. This is all on Gino, says Johnny Hornet. Get the corner flag out, says Phil Covey. Bye, says Jason. And Ted Crilly says, must I come on Saturday? Yeah, well, that's down to you. That is down to you. Let's have a look at some of the long forms. Everybody's looked at various bits and bobs. I'll just go through a smattering of these, if that's okay. Pete, your system's not working. That was from Paul earlier on. Yes, sorry, thank you for that, mate. DNSYE, we can hear people on X. We know that. As woeful as this coach is, the recruitment has been mixed, says WFC Chef. Roster of unproven strikers, injured players, free agents, has-beens, Udinese cast-offs, and a buyout brothers iffy special. Main thing is no number 10 for me. Whole team is disjointed without a link between midfield and attack. Lovely long form, that. I like that. I'm hearing K9 wasn't feeling 100%, says Carl Campion. He says, was seen with the doctor. So who knows? Maybe not. No, there you go. That could be the explanation for it. Fair enough. I read out Warren Reynolds' excellent point earlier on where he was booting Paula out, whoever she is. I was being sarcastic, says Milk. No, he says he means Paula. Like that very much. The head coach is clearly unable to get any kind of attacking intent from some very good players, says Paul Fiona Turner. Even Iran Kunda was playing with himself at times tonight, and who can blame him? I get the feeling that particular comment went wayward somewhere around the centre of it. 4 centre halves, says WFC Chef, 3 deep lying midfielders, and a ghost up front. No goals, no shit. Get this clown out. That's a very good synopsis, and I think we come back to Vic Bates' comment earlier on. I appreciate it wasn't here, but he just went, we didn't try to win the game. That was the problem. The managers must be told to play in a certain way, says Malk. He says they come in with reputations for pressing, exciting play, but deliver the same tedious possession-based rubbish. Backwards, sideways, drivel. Don't forget this fella had a full pre-season, but still doesn't know his best team. That's one of my complaints or whinges, who knows. It's not just the league game, says Carl. Pre-season showed us the turgid and uninspiring football we are now displaying. Remember, the team was booed off at half-time against Norwich. Petzolano was out of his depth then, and he still is. Hampshire Hornet says, when Kayembe is your first sub you turn to, you're an utterly clueless coach. Petzolano is completely out of his depth. I want him gone, but with Pozzo out at the helm, what is the point? The next coach will fail, and the next ad infinitum. Blimey. Petzolano is running X now, says Jason. That's very good. Thank you very much for that, Gary. Gary's playing with AI, everybody, and I would suggest he's doing it to no good effect. It's very enjoyable nonetheless. That was not even worth doing a prediction for, says the Big Lebowski. He didn't. He went for 2-1 for Watford because he predicted the comeback that didn't happen. Bring in Steve Cooper, says JT. There's a shout. I'm going to shout out and just upset people. What would you say to Neil Warnock? And I don't just mean like on a night out, because I'm sure we'd all have various things we'd say to Neil Warnock. But what would you do? How would you feel if you went, Neil Warnock gets brought in on, I don't know, Thursday or something or other? Would you go yay or nay? That's not me, by the way, saying be careful what you wish for. I'm just kind of shooting the breeze. I actually like a lot of our signings, says Ornit, the Ornit. Cipriano, Irankunda, Elaine, and even Kieramgard show glimpses and still an upgrade on last season. So I don't think recruitment's at fault, just purely on the manager. Kane, who I tried to get to earlier on, sorry, mate, would be good to chat to you this season. Imagine waiting all week just to see Semedo playing striker against a strong Millwall side and seeing Barr and seeing your number 9 on the bench and seeing Irankunda and Mendy playing out of position and expecting a win. Hard times. Mr. Snowd says, what's Grazia up to these days? Him and the Jocker would have been the first two we'd have had in the last 10 years. That's true. A lot of people say about Jukanovic didn't really work, but he did very well at Fulham. Obviously, didn't survive in the Premier League, but that's one of those. Greg Wendover on Greg says Sissoko is better than little Mendy on tonight's display. Let's always have a pop at Sissoko. Hey, yes, because I will have a go at Sissoko because he has been appalling on occasions. And last season, he was working against the manager. So, sorry, I will. Mikey Delasal says, anyone took a look at the fixtures after the international break? No way PP gets that far. The 4 games that he had, obviously, tonight's game against Millwall, then we've got Hull, we've got Portsmouth, and we've got Oxford. My call on that was that he needed at least 7, if not 9 points to survive. But I said, he needs to, as far as I'm concerned, because of the owner that we have, but also how we are playing, needs to show some sign of improvement at some point. We haven't done it. Those 4 games, and we've lost one of them already, are absolutely pivotal if he's fortunate enough to stay long enough. Sam says, Watford Sam says, we give managers no time because we've become programmed to them being sacked quickly. Pozzo's quick-fire approach is both a blessing and a curse. He hires shite and fires it quickly. Absolutely. I said earlier on, I don't know if you heard it, Sam, but I said, people have a go at us and say, you're awful at firing managers. I said, no, we're brilliant at firing managers. What we're absolutely awful at is hiring them. Why buy a class international centre-back and play him as a right wing-back, says Wendover. No, that's a question. Hornet Housery says, he's so school PE teacher. Quote of the night from on Voices of the Vic. There you go. Wendover Horn says, back to Ivic days, who were also wanted to play with a 3 without a left-footed centre-back. I like Pollock. He can do what he does, but he ain't a left-sided ball player. Ball goes to him, and he either plays it backwards or runs up a blind alley as he has no left foot. Square pegs and round holes. Well, the other question is Abankwah has looked relatively comfortable playing out from the left. I know he's come out with it a couple of times and been caught and what have you, but, other better players than he or I have done that in the past as well. Last season, there was a time when we played Pollock on the right and we played Abankwah on the left. Was it Derby? It might have been Derby. I can't remember. And everybody was commenting on what a good passing range that Pollock had. And he'd said, well, I used to be a midfielder. I can pass the ball. But then they swapped him over the other side and suddenly everything fell off a cliff. And then they kind of reversed it again. And it looked better. On the left, I agree. He's always wanting to go back in on his right and go back. I want that. What Paolo is smoking, says Jay Kelly. Shocking team choices when we have quality on the bench. Semedo over Luca and playing centre backs in the wrong position. Disgrace, he says. We can hear you, Katie says. Sam, yeah, sorry about that earlier on, guys. I've asked Paolo to help out tomorrow. Keep in touch. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Millwall had 13 players injured, by the way. Alex Delasell again says this man's available. Kike Sanchez Flores. That's Alex Delasell, official agent of Kike Sanchez Flores. Stanley 316 says really feel for Mendy playing right wing back when he's a centre back, and he's played all right. Paolo plane has been booked, I hear. I agree. I wasn't too down on Formos Mendy. I thought he went in and did what he could, but you can imagine what it must be like playing for the first time in a foreign country, in foreign football, at the Den of all places. I thought Brian, the guy who was up against for Millwall, had an outstanding game anyway, which didn't help. But being played out of position in that environment, it's not an easiest one. The head coach role at our club is nothing more than playing Punch and Judy puppet, scapegoat, recycle, says Sam. There you go. There we go. Right, look, lovely stuff. Thank you ever so much, everybody. I will let you get back to your night and enjoy that. The women won yesterday. That was really rather good. I enjoyed that very much indeed. And a final thing, just to say, well done to Chris Chapman of Chat with Chaps, who is our counterpart at the Millwall team. Through the night on Saturday night, he did the Smile Walk, which is basically doing like a London marathon but at night. And it took him about 7 hours or 8 hours, whatever it was, to walk it through. And he raised about $2,500 for cancer research, because everything that he do at Chat with Chaps goes towards cancer research. So, sir, well done. Thank you for coming on and doing the opposition view. It's been a difficult night. It's been a very, very tricky one for Watford, and it's a hard one for everybody. What's been really lovely here has been watching KP and Tommy having a conversation about various things. And I know I've kind of read a few bits out. It's important that people can have different opinions and discuss it and not get, all head up about everything. It's here to discuss what we want to do here, and what we've always done with Do Not Scratch Your Eyes, is allow as many people as want to put their points forward. That's really it. We won't always agree. We all will hope for the same thing, which is a Watford win, and we'll start with that on Saturday. We'll have to try and work doubly hard, because it's a Monday night, to get the opposition view done this week. But trust us, we'll do it, and it'll be as reliably shit as it always is. Don't worry about that. No improvement in quality here. But there we go. 1-0 down at the Den. It's a very difficult time. Be looking out just in case there is a corner flag erected at some point. Who knows? I think I'd rather him get through to the international break and see how we go in many ways, so that our better angels win rather than the demons on our other shoulder. Tommy's over here, KP's over here with me. Maybe we need to do that to get him through to there. We know that that's when Paolo does his wet work anyway, so we will see. Anyway, guys, thank you ever so much for joining us tonight, and we will see you all soon. Come on, you Warns. Oh, look, there's a theme tune I nearly forgot to play. That wouldn't have never done. You Warns.